here just joining as well. Thanks.
Hi, Pavan. Thanks for
Hi,
joining.
Eugenio. Yeah, for sure.
Hi. Yes. So, so let's start. The reasoning of recording is that we're gonna deliver not only the PPT of the presentation, but also the video playback of the presentation. They gonna be stored in one public site internally to the Valley network. So all of you can download not only the PPT presentation, but also the video file, or in Portuguese or in English, what you prefer. Okay. So besides of this, we actually started one schedule of guided tours over here in the Mining Hub. That is where we are at this moment, me and Julio. Julio is our almost permanent representative over here. And we, based on this schedule, we will execute these guided tours. It is important to mention you guys from outside Brazil, like Pavan and Sandro and other guys that may be hearing us at this moment, that if you have any specific date that you will be here in over here in Belo Horizonte, it is important to mention to us, because it's possible to you we can plan ahead to receive you here in order to create one visit event to the mining hub. So let's start. I plan to be short in every slide. We are going to run only 8 slides, and the majority of the time I intend to let you ask your questions. First of all, the mining hub, or the hub of innovation for mining companies, is an initiative that comprises not only Vale, but typically more than 20, as of today, more than 20 other mining companies all over the world, and especially the ones that have any kind of a facility or site down here in Brazil. So it's important to mention at first that the Mining Hub is definitely not an initiative solely held by Vale. The Mining Hub is one initiative comprised of a lot of mining companies, and Vale jumped in with these other mining companies and with WeWork, that provides the facility for us here, and one startup accelerator company that's named Neo. So we definitely don't have the mining hub from our Valley perspective as one initiative from the IT area or from any other area in Valley. It's important to mention that since the beginning, since we jumped in the mining hub initiative, we Valley were one of the first 3 mining companies that jumped in. The first 2 were Ferros, that we have just bought, and Nexa. These 3 companies, Vale, Nexa, and Ferros, we form today the boarding committee of the executive committee of the Mining Hub. This committee changes every year in order to organize the events and to administer our works over here. So in the next year, for example, 2020, probably one of these, there will be a round robin scheme in these 3 seats in the board, and probably it will be Valley, Nexa. Since Ferros was bought from us, it doesn't make sense at all to maintain Ferros as a single company, as an individual company. So the probably next year that the board will be comprised of Valley, Nexa, and another company. So since the very first day, the very beginning, in the Mining Hub, we have acted as a single team in Valley, and we have counted on the support of guys from the old IT area, that is now the technology, and also from some guys from the Ferros area. So it is very important because despite of the fact that the advent of the ITOT integration program started after the mining hub, we started to work in a more integrated way with the guys from the Ferrous team in Ferrous area and in a very connected way over here. So, for example, today the two representatives that we have over here, almost constantly in the Mining Hub office, are Júlio Barbosa, that is from our Industrial IT Innovation team, and Thales Barros, that is from the Adalto Caldaras team, the innovation in the Ferrous area. So that is the first point that I'd like to inform you. So the mining hub comprises one single floor in one building over here in the city of Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais state, near near the main valley office that we have here that we call MAC, MAC. And in this floor space, we have more than 100 seats, and in these seats are spread over all these seats startups, vendors, and the mining companies. Every single seat has a specific cost depending on the type of the customer. If it is a mining company, there is a one specific cost per seat, and the startup and the vendors. Typically, the startups come here in a way that I will explain you in the next few slides. Okay. So if you prefer, you can ask me any kind of question, interrupt me anytime, or you can leave it to the end. It's up to you, okay? So next slide, Julio, please. The purpose for us in the Mining Hub is to co-innovate with the actors. First of all, the mining companies and the ventures and the startups. We are not necessarily prepared at this moment to integrate with the research institutions, but we plan to do so next year, 2020. And as of today, we also have investors in the sense that the vendors themselves, they can integrate with the startups, for example, to scale a specific solution, or even the investors can connect to the startup accelerator, name it new, in order to inject some money into the startups to accelerate any other solution or go to market in a fast pace. So the purpose is to co-innovate. I mean, this way, we have a lot of challenges. These challenges, to tackle these challenges, we invite the startups in the global ecosystems. We are definitely not solely talking about startups in Brazil. The startup accelerator that works with us has the role to connect startups all over the world based on the challenges that the mining companies experts bring to the mining hub. Every challenge has its associated budget, and this budget is equity free also for the startups. So we invite them to come here and execute a lot of other stuff to help them to structure themselves as normal companies. Okay, so the purpose is to co-innovate, and of course it doesn't matter if, for example, we have 7 challenges and we have 20 startups. It doesn't matter. As of today, the every mining company is not obligated at all to put money into a specific challenge. But on the other hand, all mining companies benefit from the business outcomes that we generate in the proposed solutions. Okay, so we know, we are conscious that as of today, it is something strange in terms of balance, because it doesn't matter if you put money into the challenge to support the challenge. but you, at the end of the challenge, if there is success, you can benefit from the results. It doesn't matter for us today if you put money or not, because we are really interested at this moment to create this co-creation space over here. Okay, so that is our movement today. Any questions so far?
Eugenio, it's Pavan here. This helps, and so just a couple of questions, and if it's coming up, no problem. Just trying to understand. So, how do you kind of measure success? Are there specific metrics that you use to measure success? And then, secondly, like what's the economic model? So, if you have a number of startups that invest in the challenge, and then if all the people benefit, do they get use of the product? Do they have to pay fees to use the product? Just what's the economic model that keeps incenting the startups to keep engaged?
Okay. Both are very good questions, Pavan. First of all, starting by the second one, the budget is that they receive. Suppose I have a challenge and A, for example, to related to TCL, for example, to conveyor belts. So if when one startup is selected to tackle this problem, we give them 4 months, and one specific budget, say for example 5,000 reais to tackle this problem only in 4 months. In this way, we at first establish a future, a maturity future, because typically there is no way to develop from zero, from scratch, one solution for a conveyor belt, for example, for the kind of problems that we have over here in many companies. So we, in some way, future most mature startups, and they receive over the time during this 4 month period, they receive this budget, they spend this budget, and it doesn't matter if they will get a specific successful result. This in this budget is not in related to equity in any way. So it is an equity free movement. It is very interesting for the startups because typically they are not looking for partners at this moment. So after the 4 month, what happens is that we have at about 1 month, this 1 month after the demo day, the mining companies are have an exclusive deadline to contract the startups, even to be a specific in a contract with exclusivity, or it doesn't matter, just a common contract. For example, any company in the market can contract the same startups. So actually, after these 4 month period that we help them to develop their own products, they are free to sell their services or solutions to the other mining companies internally in the mining hub. After this 1 month, after the 4th month period, or I mean, after the 5th month, they are free as any other company in the market to sell their products or services. That is the model from the commercial perspective that we have over here. Okay. Did I answer your second question?
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Eugenio.
Okay.
So Eugenio, sorry, another question.
Go
Just
ahead,
to add on
go
to
ahead,
that.
Sandro.
So in certain circumstances, if there's something that's like proprietary to us that we wouldn't want to share, like it's a competitive advantage for Vale, like say some of our mineral processing or stuff like that, that's not something that we would go down the mining hub, right? Because
Absolutely.
potentially okay.
Absolutely, that's the way to go. We since we are co-innovating, and by our statement of work over here, all of the successes are shared. Of course, we do not intend to come to bring here our main goals, our main projects. Okay. For example, that will differentiate us in the market. But for example, Pavan, not Pavan, Sandro, we have a very big project in Vale that is Power Shift. very big program that is PowerShift. The guys from the innovation area from that deal with the PowerShift program, that I don't know if all of us are aware of the fact of what the PowerShift is, but typically we're talking about changing the power matrix of Valley from a carbon-based matrix to electricity, for example, and other kinds of energy. What I mean is that the guys like Alexandre Salomão that deal directly with the PowerShift program, they divided in the program in some pieces, and the pieces that are not that are not intended to keep secrets, they shared into the mining hub, Sandro. So that is the way to go for us up to now. We definitely just put here the kind of challenges that could not potentially differentiate us. Okay, I mean common challenges. Did I answer a question, Sandro? It seems to me that Sandro is changing from one off to another. So let me get back to the first question of Pavan. Pavan, related to your first question, how do we measure the business outcome that we have after the solution, after the demo day? Let me respond to you with one real example. What happened to us? We are currently running our second innovation cycle. What I mean, what is the concept of one cycle? One cycle is is comprised of defining the mining companies get together, the experts of these mining companies get together, and they define a number of challenges. These challenges are divided into 5 or 6 categories, like, for example, operational efficiency, energy efficiency, water treatment, or so, dam management, for example. So these challenges, typically 10, for example, they they are sent to the startup accelerator. The startup accelerator connects to the startups ecosystems all over the world, and the startups so subscribe to every challenge that they intend they could potentially win the challenge. So, for example, one startup can subscribe to just one or 2 or 3 or all of the 10 challenges. So after this, there is a selection phase. The selection phase is done by the same experts from the mining companies that defined the challenges. Of course, if I am one of the experts and I help to define the challenges 1 and 4, of course, I will take part only in the selection process of the startups for the challenges 1 and 4, of course. So after this selection, we define one and a single one and only one startup per challenge. So after this, we start actually the 4-month period, okay? And the startups develop or adapt their products or do some kind of pivoting in their own products. And at the end of this demo day period, we have at the end of this 4-month period, we have the demo day. So in the demo day, we present the results. Which results? The results that were developed by the startup and the mining company that was the main supporter of that challenge. Of course, there is no way in 4 months to the startup test in more than one mining company. So for every challenge, there is one and only one mining company that will be the test bed for that challenge. So, for example, in the very first cycle, the cycle 1, Vale supported 2 of the startups. These 2 companies accessed our operational areas, and over there during this 4-month period, they created such a kind of a business case with our guys from specifically talking to our guys from the Faroes area. So what happened after this 4 month period? They got a partial business outcome and presented it in the demo day. We have also one video of this demo day. Unfortunately, it was held only in Portuguese, but we have this video available in the video tub. If for the sake of propose any of you are interested in it, we can share after this meeting. But the point is that in the demo day they present a partial business outcome. I mean, the measurement of the benefits are not so strong, so stable. So what happens after this period? We uh, have adapted our methodology so far to leave the startup one time more in our operational area, involved more guys from the operational area, the BPs, for example, the experts from other areas connected to the same process, for example, conveyor belts, in order to measure strictly the benefits. It is exactly, Pavan, what we are doing right now with the two startups for the cycle one, with the support, the very good support from the guys from the Faroes area. So it was not possible based on our learning in this 4 month first cycle. It was not possible to have very tight numbers, very stable numbers, very confident numbers after this 4 month period. So typically, we will spend 2 months more to get very very firm numbers. And so we expect in 1 month more to have the business outcomes measured in a very good way to this operation where we are testing. One of the benefits is related to defining the mineral components of the material iron ore based on hyperspectral cameras. That is one of the challenges. Okay, for example, and that is the reason we haven't so far these measurements, but we are going to get it in 4 weeks. I hope. Okay.
That helps. That helps, Eugenio. That's a nice real example to understand a little bit more about it as well.
Okay. Julio, next slide, please. So
Hi,
in some
Eugenio.
way, I have.
Hi, Eugenio. Thiago Corvelo here. I'm from Digital Transformation Team in São Luís. And just for the record, is there some website where we can follow the subjects or projects that Mining Hub are dealing with?
Yes, there is. Well, the public website as of today is mininghub.com.br.
Oh,
You can find there the challenges in Portuguese and also in English.
perfect. Thank
We
you.
are going to, okay, you're welcome. You are going to create our internal website, working with tightly integrated with the guys from the communication area, the corporate communication area in Vale, to put there the same stuff, but with the bias of Vale, of our internal bias. Okay,
Okay,
and for example, in our internal website, we're gonna depict uh, the every phase of the project, every step that we need to do in order to collaborate to get
you can
together.
go
Okay,
deeper on details.
absolutely.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you very much.
you're welcome. So, and in some way, the contents of the other pages I have spoken in some way here. For example, like this one, that is our focus, is as I've mentioned, we have from one side we have the mining sector, the mining companies as the final customer, and on the other side we have the vendors represented in this figure by the suppliers and the partners, and we have the startups. And in the near future, we will engage the universities and the academic institutions and the research institutions with us. We are actually not prepared for this because we are just testing the first model to working with the startups, like I have mentioned. We are currently running the cycle 2, the 4-month cycle 2. We have just finished the cycle 1, and we are preparing to run the cycle 3. It seems to me, Julio, could you please confirm that for cycle 3, we are internally working with the guys from the energy area and the pelletizing plants in Brazil, right?
Is it
Okay.
correct?
So we create, as the picture shows, we create the challenges, and it represents not only opportunities for the startups based on the public calls that we do, but also since this public call is available to all the actors in the market. Of course, the vendors, the consultant firms and the engineering firms, they are also aware of the kind of solutions that we're looking for. And for example, we, as of today, we in the cycle 1, we had one startup that created one specific solution to inject hydrogen into the carbon-based fuel and in the diesel, and it produced one cost reduction in 5% related to fuel consumption in one specific mine. It was not in Vale. It seems to me in Anglo Gold, right, Julio? Do you remember?
Correct. Anglo
Correct.
Gold Mining. Correct.
And suppose that, of course, 5% in reduction in fuel consumption is so much, but suppose that in our case in Vale, we're talking about 0.5%. So it represents a lot of $1 million for us in Vale yearly, right? So we maybe this startup that is comprised of 2 guys, one academic professor and another person, suppose that they don't have the capability to scale to our size, so they can cope with vendors in the market, maybe to accelerate the escalation of this kind of solution for our operations. So it is one of the reasons that we integrate the suppliers and partners here with us in the mining hub. And it's important to mention, so far I have just mentioned the integration of the mining companies and the startups. But how actually the suppliers and partners can benefit from our operation over here in the mining hub? We have one very good defined schedule. Every month we have an agenda with one. For example, one of the events is called Sea Hour, where we come here, one C-level guy from every operation, one guy per month from every mining company. For example, in this month we'll have the pleasure to receive Gustavo Vieira, the CIO from Valid, our technology director, and he will talk about the kind of challenges that we have in the technology area. They will talk this freely to these guys. So there will be a lot of representatives, sales guys, and executives from these vendors in the market, just to listen our pains, like I like to say over here, because it's real gold, right? Because in this way, we are telling to the market, we need this kind of solution, we need this kind of solution. So these guys are from the market are very interested in the kind of needs that we have internally in our companies, in mining companies. So in this way, we integrate not only the mining sector, the suppliers and partner, and the startups, as mentioned in the figure. Any questions so far? Okay, let's go ahead. Julio, next, please. So the 7 macro steps of our scheme is, as I have mentioned, we get together with we mining companies get together based on our experts from every area. And how we do that? We define, for example, for the cycle 1, we decided to work with the guys from the iron ore. And for the cycle 2, we decided to work with the guys from water treatment, for example, or dam management. And for the cycle 3, the guys from energy management and the pelletizing plants. Maybe in the cycle fourth, we're gonna work with the guys from the base metals. And definitely, we're not talking about solely about operational problems in terms of the processing. We definitely could, for example, work with Pavan in RPA challenges, work with Thiago, that is now responsible for the North Corridor Digital Transformation Program, to asset risk or asset management or asset performance. We could work with other areas, the power shift. So it doesn't matter the kind of challenge that we have internally. We can jump in and get together to define the challenges and put some money into the table in order to attract startups to work with us in this equity-free scheme. So we count on the support of the accelerator experts to help us to consolidate, to converge, and to define one single document that will be the base for the public call for the startups. Okay, so that is the step 1. And after this, we define the selection process, as I have mentioned, and each challenge is sponsored at least by one single mining company. It doesn't matter. We can have, and we actually had more than one mining company sponsoring the same challenge. It doesn't matter. But what happens is that only one mining company will be the base, the operational base for the test bed of the startup company. Okay, is the after this step 2, this definition, the accelerator creates the PDF and the website with the description of every challenge, and and not only the description, how the kind of drawing that you see in this page is the typical way we use to define pictorially our challenges. So, like we say, one picture is worth than 1,000 words, right? So we have the description. Despite of this picture, we have the description in English. We have the description in Portuguese, and we have a lot of calls and through Facebook. We have calls with other social media vehicles. We use the networking that we have with the guys in the market in order to capture the attention of these guys from the startups. Okay, so because one of the surprises for us was in the cycle one was that I'm Vale, so it seems to me that every startup in the world is very interested in working with me. It is definitely not true. The very good startups, because there is a lot of very bad startups and very good ones, like everything in the world. So the very good startups, the most prominent startups, they are very interested in their own projects. They don't pivot easily. So to capture the attention of these young guys or old guys and very talented guys, it is not an easy task. For example, in San Francisco, California, sometimes to access one specific ecosystem, or you already have the connection over there, or you must pay $10,000, for example, to publish a single challenge in their channels. So it is not so easy, the startup world, like at least I thought before the cycle month. So after the step 3, we select.
Eugenio,
Yes.
just a question on that. So it's a very interesting point you raised about capturing these really smart startups, and it's maybe not as easy as we think. Is it I'm just trying to say, is it related with sometimes, because being a very large company as Vale is, we have a pretty onerous procurement and onboarding process for different startups. So Is it that they don't see the potential revenue stream coming from Vale or companies like us? Or is it a different driver that says that they want to just focus, like you said, just on their own unique projects? Just if you can add a little bit more insight on that.
Based on what we've learned so far, Pavan, it is not definitely about the how slow we are in terms of bureaucracy, but it's more related to the purpose. These guys are purposeful. For example, we had one startup that didn't work with us actually, but worked with the guys in Nexa, that is another mining company over in Brazil. These guys in the startup, the one startup was selected to do something in mineral processing, for example. Nexa injected 1,000 reais or $1,000 in these guys in their operation. It doesn't matter the coin here. The point is they started to do the work and it was very successful. So the guys from Nexa tried to inject more 1 million, and the guys from the startup refused. It was quite a lot of money, but they refused. But why? Because if Nexa injected 1 million more, they could be forced to pivot their solution, and it was definitely not what they were looking for. So what happens? They refused this 1 million, and after this, they continued to work with Nexa, but open to with the freedom to guide their own products. And after 1 or 2 years, they have had one injection of 100 million from another investor. So these guys are really. It doesn't matter. Were not. They are not necessarily looking for money at first. They are typically not necessarily the startups are comprised of young guys. Maybe like this one that I have mentioned that injected hydrogen into diesel is an old man, an old professor. It seems to me more than in between 60 and 70 years old. But typically, these guys still live in their parents' home, so they are typically not interested at first in the money, but in their purpose, into the freedom. It has more value to them than the money that we potentially will put into their operation. Okay. That is what we've
Yeah,
learned so
it's
far.
a fascinating point. Like, because that's a really fascinating point. So it really makes us think. It's more about the purpose and the vision that those startups have, and what's driving them,
Absolutely.
which won't necessarily be the same. A lot of times our drivers are financial, community, sustainment, all those other pieces, right? So it's really trying to almost talk a different language to some of these startups and motivate them in the way that they want to be motivated. So it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to mention also that, as I have commented a couple of minutes ago, that there are a lot of different startups related to women in the market, law, cybersecurity, mining operation in the open pit, in the underground mine, and the pelletizing plants, and PLC control, loop optimization. So there is a startup for potentially every kind of thing that we can imagine today. So for us, for example, for our corporate operation, uh, related to HR, related to financial area, procurement, there are a lot there is a bunch of startups related to this. So what I mean, we can receive these kind of challenges from the corporate areas also over here in the mining hub and work with them. And we are prepared to work. For example, when startup is selected to work with us, it's important to mention that as WeWork is our partner, they can work in every WeWork office all over the world. So it doesn't matter. They don't need necessarily to work here in the mining hub. They can take part in the process, be selected, and, for example, work with Pavan in Canada, Toronto, or with Sandro in Sudbury, or with Sandro Salim in Mozambique. I'm not sure if there is one we work office in Mozambique, but probably in South Africa there is at least one. But so it's very interesting because our model is global. So it's very interesting because we are definitely not talking about a system that the startup must be in Belo Horizonte. And by the way, in the first cycle, we had the startups from Peru, from Israel, from Canada, and England, I guess, and I don't remember
Chile.
other Chile also Chile. And so it's really one global movement for all of us. So that is the reason we are starting to engage more people from Valley from now on in order to adapt the model and to tackle other challenges that we have for sure in every area of our operation. So after this, in step 4, the startups are selected by this very same experts that defined the challenges. And after these 4 months, during which they develop their own solutions using our operation as test beds. When I say operation, I'm talking about corporate offices or mining open pits or underground or so. They develop their own solutions or adapt their solutions. And in the very last uh, day of this 4 month cycle that we call demo day, they present their value proposition based on the results, the business outcomes that they've got with us, the test bed, in this 4 month period. And later on, we miners define if we go on or no, to refine even more the business outcomes, to confirm by the experience of the guys from the operation area, our internal customer, if we should deliver that kind of solution that was developed. Suppose we define to no go, to don't go with a specific startup. So it doesn't matter, they have their own solution, we will look for another startups. But suppose we will contract, we will hire them to do something. This way, from now on, it doesn't matter if it's a startup or a normal vendor, the process is the same or almost the same. Because, for example, we have developed during the definition and the structuring process of the mining hub, we have worked tightly integrated with the guys from the procurement area in order to develop within and a lot of other actors in the corporate space in Valley the limits of $150,000. If we are talking about a hiring process of up to $150,000, we can accelerate this kind of hiring process to 3 days. And in the case of start, we facilitate the process. For example, in Brazil, due to labor regulations and specifically to safety, we have a lot of documentation that typically one vendor should must use to be contracted by Valley, like ASO, PCMSO, and a lot of other labor safety documents. But for the startups, there is an easiness. This kind of requirement is not necessary. So it is a very easy task to hire these guys after this this period of validation. And of course, if we're talking about one solution, up to $150,000 in a single hiring process. Okay, a single contract. Any questions so far? Julio, next one. Unfortunately, we only have this kind of material. These are samples of the kind of solutions and challenges that we have in the cycle 1. Here they are presented in Portuguese, but you can visit the site mininghub.com.br in order to access the description of every challenge in English also. And it seems to me that the pictures in the website are in English. Correctly, Julio? Correct?
I suppose just the text is in English.
Okay. So, for example, here in this case, we're talking about a conveyor belt. And the challenge here was how to analyze the material in real time in a low cost mode. And that was one of the challenges. And the startup that won this challenge is named LLK. And they used one hyperspectral camera to do so. And it's very interesting for us in Valley because it's also a very real example that I will give you. This startup LLK defined that should work in this challenge with one kind of a photo camera that is hyperspectral. So this camera is very rare, is very expensive, and suppose to if we were interested in only internally and do this kind of experiment with uh, we should spend 6 months only to rent or to buy one hyperspectral camera. 6 months. And these guys, by the fact that we used the startup as one intermediate, the guys from the startup uh, obtained one
3 days.
hyperspectral camera for free from one university in 3 days. So it is amazing because we can actually accelerate not necessarily the solution, but we can accelerate the testing process, the validation of our thesis in our challenges. So we actually can accelerate the tackling process to the challenges with this kind of approach, because the professors at the university there, they are also very interested in helping their alumni to develop their own solutions. So there's a lot of very good benefits in terms of time gains for Valley also. And I'm not sure if we have one more slide, Julio. Yes, this one, as I will recall again what I've already mentioned related to the fact that we have a specific agenda every month, like this CR event with the CIOs and directors. We have the support of Fundação Dom Cabral in Brazil, that is very famous over here in Brazil. We have the support of the innovation area of some global consultant firms also. We have the participation of the guys from the Faroes area. They are very active with us, and we actually have one single floor here where there is no structure, there is no hierarchy, and everyone connects to every other in a very productive way. Of course, as Sandro Cirilli mentioned before in our meeting, we are definitely not talking about bringing up here our key problems that will differentiate us in the market. But typically, more than 80% of the problems that we have are common problems like the dams, water, energy, logistics, and some related to AI, machine learning, and process control optimization. And so we have actually a very good place here that we can exchange ideas and integrate with these guys in a lot of events. We have technical events here to explain our pains. We have the events held by the vendors that will explain their solutions. We have explains for startups, and most importantly, we have in the afternoons, in the Fridays, we have a lot of free beer to all of the guys over here. So that is the reason that we're here, that we are presenting from the Mining Hub today.
Gino, just a comment and a question, and I think you alluded to this. Traditionally, the mining companies in the past, or at least my experience was, we really didn't share lots. We
Yep.
saw each other as competitors, and this joint collaboration and stuff in this process, and I've seen the change over the last recent, but I wouldn't mind getting your thoughts. Have you seen, even in your involvement with that mining hub, where the companies are being more open? Because we typically we never had the culture of sharing amongst the different companies. What's your feeling?
Yes, interesting that question, Sandro. Very good, because we at first we were a little bit concerned when we started the whole thing over here, because we started with 3 mining companies, the 3 biggest possibly over here in Brazil, and we were very concerned about the fact that maybe it could be a unsuccessful, this initiative here. But what happened is that when we started to structure, the mining companies started to jump in, and not only that, we using this scenario with every week we had 1 or 2 jumping in, we started to work with their legal areas, when we started to work with their procurement areas. So in the mining hub, Sandro, we are so integrated today with all the mining companies that we defined it one single process uh, related to legal statements to the mining hub, for example, to protect intellectual property, for example, that we all mining companies have signed one single document where all the legal areas of their respective companies agree with the terms. And we did the same for the procurement area of every single mining company. So we have 2 documents, one related to the legal terms that we agree to work together, and one another related to standardize our internal processes related to the procurement treatment to the startups after the demo day. So it's incredible how we are. It seems to us that we are living in one moment that everyone suddenly realized that we should get together. It was a surprise for us.
No, that's amazing.
Eugenio, I suppose it's good to mention that the team, HR teams, supply teams, law teams, they are together discussing in expert groups about the best practice as well.
So we are exchanging the knowledge of, for example, in Valley, we treat in the HR the people, the careers this way. So the guys from the other mining companies receive this kind of information and exchange their own knowledge also. For example, the guys from the Anglo Gold, they deal with gold, not with iron ore. The kind of the process stability and the process maturity with these guys are much higher, much better than ours. For example, the loss in the gold process is less than 0.01%, as the person, one of the experts, told us in one of the presentations that we had. So we have today more than 10 events per month in the mining hub, uh, despite of the fact that we can get together to exchange ideas every day here also. So it surprised us, Sandro, that typically not only the mining companies, but it seemed to me that in our state over here in Brazil, Minas Gerais state, we are called mineiros. We tend to behave in our day-to-day lives like the mining companies. We are very closed, we are very traditional, we are very protective in terms of a value, family, property. But what happens is that the companies are really opened and with working with the same agile and collaboration mindset. That's it. Any other question?
Eugenio, it's Pavan. Just
Yep.
when we're talking about the types of challenges and the solutions, like we do a lot of this agile when we're talking about technology. So with these solutions, are they limited to more technology type, or do they also include like business process type of changes, maybe people expertise? So things that are not just limited to a technology type of solution, but much more broader around that? What's the scope that you can put in place in terms of a challenge and a potential solution?
And that's a very good question, Pavan. And we are actually working with other initiatives comprising not only technology but this broader aspect of processes and most importantly people. For example, we are incubating here in the mining hub one movement that started in Canada, that is women in mining. So the mining hub today is the incubator of the women in mining movement that was brought to Brazil by Andrea Rabetin from Vale Foundation, and we intend in the next cycles to put even more stuff related to process and people, like change management, culture. For example, there is one of the side initiatives that we already do here in Mining Hub that I didn't mention is one social work that we do. We teach technology stuff to poor people, like ancient people, and to young people also. There is we have this kind of from since the very beginning. We have this kind of social orientation too. But um, talking about strictly about your question, yes, we intend to use the cycles to create challenges more suited to challenge to processes and to people. They are very welcome too.
Now that's great to understand. So it doesn't sound like we're doing that yet, but it's definitely an openness to do that in the near future.
Absolutely. We are experimenting initially with the women in mining. That is nothing about technology at all, but we intend to do that. You and all of you guys are very welcome to help us to put these kind of challenges in the cycle 3 that we can start this year or in the first quarter of the next year. We of course will share with you our calendar in order to leave you a lot of time before to decide if you jump in or not. Okay, and we don't need a lot of money. Talking about these two challenges that we have that Vale sponsored, we're talking about one of them was 3,000 reais and the other one 60,000 reais, right, Julio?
Right. One of them, 106 reais and 200,000
So
both.
if we convert it in dollars, we're talking about typically $30,000 and $50,000. It's definitely not a lot of money.
Interesting point at the first cycle, the mining company who has the higher amount of subscriptions was Samarco. Any single coin applied. Can you better explain, Eugenio, about it?
And I didn't
Samar,
understand. Are you talking about the dams?
no, Samarco at first cycle got the high amount of startups subscriptions, but any coin applied at your at its challenge.
They had no budget. That
No budget, zero
is one of
budget.
they have that is one of the proofs, Pavan, that we had that Samarco, the challenge held by Samarco, sponsored by Samarco, had zero budget, and the most majority of the startups applied to this challenge. So they were definitely not looking for money at this moment, but probably to help them to collaborate to help Samarco's problems. As you probably are aware of the fact that Samarco, the first dam accident that we had over here in Minas Gerais state, was in Samarco, one company held by Vale and BHP.
Yeah, so they were probably motivated much more by the environmental, the social type of aspects, and other much more softer drivers than the financial piece. So yeah, that's a great example.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have any other next any other page, Julio, or not? It seems to me we. Oh, that is a how to
Last
collaborate.
one.
Last one. How to collaborate. First, keep in contact with us. As we mentioned, there is one public channel so far, that is the miningHub.com.br. There are pages in English and Portuguese. We have one, but talking strictly of our Valley perspective, we have one single monthly based status report that it is to receive this kind of stuff. You only need to send an email to Julio.Barbosa. In the latest page, we will show his email, or Thales Barros from the Ferrous area, and keep in touch with us. So in every status report, we will publish our agenda, our schedule. And despite of this, we are working, as I've mentioned, with the communication area to have one in our intranet. We have and maintain updated our Mining Hub collaboration page. And after this, if you are interested, for example, suppose we are going to have our to define the challenges that we're going to put in the next cycle. We'll do this using the teams, so you can globally collaborate and take part. We can do it in English, we can do it in Portuguese, whichever you want. And after this, you can help influence in which kind of challenge that we're gonna vote to be included into the next public call. And you can help us to define, and if we're talking about technology challenge, or process or people challenge. And after this, you can take part in the selection phase of the startups. You can, yeah, recommend startups to the accelerator. You can keep in touch directly to the startups, invite them to take part in the process. All of the process is public, is web page based, so it doesn't depend on knowing someone specifically. And you can take part in the 4-month period of the development of the solution, and the development of the proof of concept. Oh, and of course, you are invited to be with us in the demo day. The demo day, typically they are recorded, but for example, we have the structure over here in the Mining Hub to deliver the demo day and other presentations to you in using Teams resources, so you can work with us despite of the fact that you are abroad. Okay, so that is the process. The first step is to be aware of what we're doing here, and as of today is based on the public startup. I'm sorry, the public web page, miningHub.com.br, and the monthly based status report that is delivered by Julio monthly. Okay.
Next demo day planned to November 7th. Save the date.
We're gonna publish it, and as we've mentioned, we will put this video of this call in English in our internally available repository for all of you. We'll put the video in Portuguese. We'll put the PowerPoint presentations to all of you guys. And the Mining Hub is much better for us if all of you collaborate. And there isn't one single area in Valley that owns the connection to the Valley Hub. Every area can indistinctly connect to the Mining Hub and help us to get together. Oh, next slide, Julio, please move on to the next slide to show your email and the mail from Thales Barros from the Ferrous area. And of course, if you want, you can be a focal point of the Mining Hub in your area in order to help us to deliver the message and take part with us in the regular events that we have over here. Any question? Before we close, it seems to me we are running out of time.
Let me cut.
No, thanks very much, Eugenio. This is great. Really very valuable insight.
Okay. So thank you very much for your listening, for your participation. The questions were very smart, and we look forward to work with of you guys in the Mining Hub and the innovation movement in Valley. And in a couple of days, we'll receive one evaluation form so you can talk anonymously about how we perform in this kind of presentation. We will deliver the promised material, the video and the PDF. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend, all of you. And thanks, Julio, for all the support.
Thank you for your time.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.